foreman.
It's an honor to meet you. The judge said I had no business in a courtroom. That I was childish. Just need to get my act together.
You lost your cool.
Stop yelling!
It's primal. Fight or flight.
You were a champ.
And everybody standing behind. Victory in the eyes, put your fists in the sky.
I am a champ.
It's time to rise.
I remember your body being totally in sync.
Just give me one chance, okay?
So you want a box?
And I want you to train me. I'll pay you.
You young people think it's all about money.
You don't believe I can go the distance.
This ain't about me here.
Left jab, right cross. I studied all the legendary fights. Ali.
What do you know about Ali? I don't train fighters. I make fighters. Go put on your gear.
This is our time to rise. Born with
Sit.
the heart of a lion.
Get up.
Fight for the pride.
Move
Don't
it.
try
Move
to
it.
defy me.
I want to see how hard you can go at it.
Game on. It's our time to rise.
Ladies and gentlemen, feel the pain!
It's our time to rise.
Pain is useful. Pain is a power that will supercharge him. Make him feel that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Hard nights. Days long. No fear. Lay strong. Hard nights. Days long. No fear. Lay strong.
Attitude, habitude, gratitude.
The next super middleweight champion of the world.
This is our time to rise.
It's going to be hell.
Hello, everyone. My name is Heather Hurt with the NRW, where nerds rule the world, and I'm here with Luise, who plays Toni in the upcoming film Uppercut, and at the same time, who has already played in Uppercut. How are you doing today?
Hi, great. Nice to meet you. Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. How are you feeling with, even though you've technically released this film, the German version, how do you feel about this being your big English movie debut?
Yes, I mean, it's my first international production, and I'm so happy to do it and to get to do it with an icon like Ving Rhames is just like surreal. It's amazing for sure.
I was actually going to ask, Ving Rhames is known internationally. He's done action film before. Can you give us a bit of a breakdown? What was it like working with him in a film like this?
Yes, I mean, it's I think our movie is different from like other action movies because the boxing is more, it's like the platform where these two so different characters meet, and we have this icon Ving Rhames who plays an icon coach, and I'm this German girl who lives in New York and who want to get trained by such a legend like Ving's character, and to work with Ving Rhames was, of course, before I first met him, I was like quite nervous. Okay, how is he? I mean, he worked with Tom Cruise, with Tarantino, and like who not? And so I was like super nervous, but then he was so friendly, so open-minded, so curious about our project, about me, and this made it really easy for me to really dive into my character, into the story with him, and we had quite a natural connection and curiosity about each other, and I think this basically makes the movie
great. And it's a great dynamic. You can really feel it. With this film, you play Toni, but in the German version of this film, which is really cool, the fact that this was such a well appreciated film that the U.S. was just like, bring it here, bring it here. What is the difference between Toni in this version and Steph? And I'm terrible. My German accent is terrible, so I apologize. In Lieberhaken, what's the difference?
It was quite good, Lieberhaken. I think the character developed. She became a bit older, and of course, she now lives in New York City and not in Berlin anymore. So And I think also for me, it was like a total different movie, total new story, because to have the relationship with Ving Rhames' character, Elliott, is such a different thing than I had with my German co-star here. And so also that we added another time layer, which we don't have in the German version. This is just the chamber play thing part. And in the US version, we have the second time layer where my character becomes a boxing manager, and this makes it even more interesting to add this another layer and to bring more depth into this character. So yeah, I really enjoyed not doing the same again, but to bring it to another level.
And to go off of what you said, there is that time skip in this film. Why, yes, it does add that extra layer, but why did y'all decide to go that route here? Why did we need more of that story? Why didn't y'all want to just hang out in the original dynamic?
I think the original dynamic is still the center of our movie, and it shapes my character from where she's going like 8 years later. And I think we also wanted to tell the story of this strong female character within this male-dominated boxing industry. So she gives what she learned from Elliott then on to her students, and like in this case Pain, and that we also go out of this gym, that we see a bit more of New York City and how this develops. And I think that we have this woman who's then also a young mother and who's still struggling. She might be successful, but she's still struggling with all the stuff she's doing, and especially from her experience with Elliott. And I think for me it was interesting to add this other time layer to see the development of the character.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I want to talk a little bit about your personal experience. You've been in the world of sports almost your entire life. You are a professional pole vaulter. And you are also a sports. I'm sorry?
I was until I was 18. So like 10 years ago, I was a professional athlete. I'm not anymore. So yeah.
Well, once an athlete, always an athlete. You that is an incredible feat, no matter what. But tell me, how does you've been in sports journalism, you've done a lot of stuff related to sports. Why is that what led you into wanting to do this project, or what brought you into that? What connections do you have there?
So I was, what I just said, I was this professional athlete, but then I had to quit because I had many injuries, and there was a lot of pressure also mentally. And so I decided to skip this part. Then I went into sports journalism because I didn't know what to do after school. And so I just went into this and realized, okay, this is not quite the thing I want to do. And I kind of got into acting, and I felt like, okay, this is something that triggers another part in me, which is so different from professional sports, which I was so curious about to explore more. And so I got more and more into acting, and went to an acting school. And from there, it was like a natural development. And that I'm also a producer now on this project was more of a, yeah, let me say, it just came by accident. So yes, but that's basically the way how it happened.
Understood. Okay, so it's not I'm pulling out the connection more than it was. But what's really cool is and we're seeing this a lot in movies. We actually have quite a few boxing movies coming out between 2024 and 2025. Why is boxing, and for decades, boxing has been used as just this mirror to the real world. Why do you think this character is so important to the audience? Like, why would you want this character as a boxer to the audience?
I think which is interesting about her is that she is still this privileged girl, and in most boxing movies we tell stories of people really coming from the street or stuff, but she is this privileged girl, but she still struggles with her life. And my generation nowadays is struggling, although they might not have these huge problems, but they're still struggling to find their purpose, to find their, okay, where they want to go. And once they find it, I think it's so important that they really go for it. And I think this is what my character does. She is going through it, even if Elliott tells her no, she's still trying to get it. And I think this can be annoying sometimes. This can be quirky or over the top, but I think it's important that my young generation is sometimes annoying because they want to be heard. And I think it's this is such an important message I want to give with this character, with this story, that it's worth fighting for the dreams, to be persistent, to keep going. And on the other side, to be open to, yeah, like to meet such a guy like Elliott, who's so different from her, but she's open to learn from him and to get his wisdom and to learn. And I think this is important.
Absolutely. And it's really cool to see. And you know, the classic boxing movies, you have the male protagonist. He's the only one you watch. But now what's really cool is we see it at a generational level, and that's really sweet.
Yeah.
When you were making this film, once again, this is a sort of adaptation of the original. What was the difference when you were making and producing the German version of UPPERCUT and this version, the English version?
So the first version we made right into COVID, I think 2020. And so there was, this was more like an experiment. We shot this very movie in just 3 days, and it was really a rock and roll thing. We played the whole thing from start to finish chronologically with 2 mobile cameras. And this was even more tiny, just 2 people, just 1 location. It was really, really tiny. And so with this American version, we had a bit of more time and a bit, it was still, we had not a lot of shooting days like a big studio production has, but we still had to do a lot of pages a day. I think especially actors like Ving Rhames are used to do, like, in these huge Mission Impossible movies, like some sentences a day. And with us, he had like 8 pages, and it was really intense. But this was also nice, but because we wanted to keep this intensity, we wanted to do this long takes, we wanted to really stay with these guys. And I think this was nice to bring this intensity from the German version to this version.
It's there. And Ving Rhames just naturally gives that off no matter what. While you were portraying Toni, while you were in this form, what did you learn most about yourself, either in your acting or in your personality?
I think what I learned, of course, a lot from Ving Rhames, and was nice to talk to him and to get to know his experiences, and but also to really dive into this scene, into this character. And I think most likely the story we tell with UPPERCUT and I tell with Toni is a bit of also my story, because I'm also a young German actress. I'm going to the US and I'm trying to make it there, and I'm also a producer, so I know all these struggles and challenges. And I think this is what I learned, that it's what I just said earlier, that it's worth fighting for. And if it doesn't work this way, then maybe another way it does work. And so that's what I take away from this project, that it's worth to be persistent and to keep fighting for.
Well, you mentioned fighting. Let's talk on that for a second. There is a good amount of physicality that you do. You really have to get into it at times. And Elliott really pushes Toni through through everything. What did you have to do to prepare for this role? Either version, what did you have to do to prepare for this role? And what surprised you that you were able to do physically for this?
So I think it was, in this case, a big advantage that I had this sports background, because I'm still doing a lot of sports nowadays. I'm a in a good shape. I do my sports like almost every day, even if I'm not preparing for a movie. So, but for this, especially now for this American version, I trained with a former world champion, a woman here in Germany, and she really, yeah, she pushed me like, and I've really could since my professional sports, I was really challenged so much, but I still enjoyed this kind of challenge, and so it was hard, but such a great experience too, because boxing is such a complex sport, and it's still is something you have to do mentally and physically, and so to combine this was really complex, but also such a great challenge and experience to go through this process and to keep in shape. I went to gyms also in LA. I went to open classes. I wanted to get the full experience, and I did, yeah.
There are a lot of people who have done sporting events like this. Have you fallen in love with boxing? Have you taken it up yourself? Do you think that's something you'd continue doing?
I do from time to time. It's not like I go to the boxing gym like every day, but I still enjoy doing it from time to time. And what I just said, it's such a great thing, because once you train boxing, you can't do anything else. You can't think of, okay, what am I cooking tonight, or what do I have to do, or what the bullshit we are having in our heads every day. So that's really a great thing to just do boxing and to really give it your all, and yeah, feel great afterwards.
One of the really cool things about talking about time skips and going forward, Toni's story does not end. We don't see the end of her story at the culmination of the film. Spoilers. But would you like her story to continue? And if so, what would you like to do with her?
I would love to continue her story. I think there are two things that can be interesting, is from the one perspective to fill the time gap maybe between, okay, what happened after that night with Elliott that brought her to where she is now? And of course, yeah, what happens once she runs into the arena, and yeah, what comes next it's I think, and of course we all want to get to know Darius. I think so he's a character we want to get to know, so yeah, I'm ready.
So my final big question for you, it's kind of that just classic cliche one, I apologize, but my final big question for you is, when Uppercut arrives in theaters on February 28th, what would you like the audience to take away from it? What's the most important lesson you'd like them to take away?
I think it's about the curiosity Toni and Elliott have to each other, that it's worth it to think out of your comfort zone, because when nowadays we meet people on the street and we put them into boxes because we think we already know them, and that these two characters meet on the common ground of boxing, and they're start to becoming more and more curious about each other, and then we experience something like a friendship between the two of them, is for me the most important part of this story, that it's worth fighting for not only what you want, but also fighting for really getting to know someone really, and to be open for them, and to not only talking but also listening. And I think this is yeah, for me, such a beautiful and uncommon relationship between the two of them. I would love people to take away from the movie.
That's beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. Uppercut arrives in theaters on February 28th. Luise, thank you so much for your time today, and you have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thanks.
pleasure chatting with you. Love to all my nerds who rule the world.
Nerds rule the world.
Yes, we do.
Thanks. Nerds rule the world.
Thank you.
I love the nerds ruling the world, so more power to you.
Patrick, what up, man? And yes, they do. Nerds rule the world, kid.
Yes,
you know
sir.
Thank you.
Awesome. Kuya P, nerds rule the world. Hello.
Yes, they do.
Yes.
Oh,
Nerds rule the world.
I got.
It's in the title of your show, like Nerds Rule the World. Like, I want more black weirdos on screen, and I don't feel like we ever get to see that very much.
Thank you so much. Nerds do rule the world.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you,
rule.
Nerds Rule.
Love it.
It's your boy Kuya P, nerds rule the world. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you.
They rule the world, all right.
Yes. Take care, Tony. Thank you, guys.